Update. I, 28 male, don't know how to tell my wife, 24 female, that I cheated on her while she had postpartum depression. Original post. I know I'm a POS, and I don't deserve my wife and our two beautiful sons 4 and 2. I know that by telling her this will be the end of our marriage. She will not forgive me. There will be no talking through it. She will tell me to pack my bags and leave immediately. I can't live with the guilt of not telling her, but I can't live without her. I don't know what to do. Basically, my wife and I always wanted a traditional family. I would go to work and she would stay home with the kids. We both always wanted a large family, a house in the suburbs, a dog, the whole thing. We got married when she was 19 and I was 23. She got pregnant right away, and our first son was born 9 months to the day after our wedding. He was such an easy, happy baby. We were all so happy. My wife was super passionate about cooking, arts and crafts, and home decor. Our home was always spotless, despite having a baby and a dog. We had a great marriage and a healthy, intimate life. We were both naive enough to think that being parents was always going to be easy. So we started trying for another as soon as the doctor cleared us. It took about 8 months for her to get pregnant, which stressed her out a lot because she got pregnant so easily with our first. This pregnancy was different. She had no energy. She gained a lot of weight and was unrecognizable. With our first son, she only had a small bump and you wouldn't have even known she was pregnant if you saw her from behind or if she was wearing an oversized shirt. With this pregnancy, she blew up like a balloon. Her face and feet were swollen. I sound like an a-hole for saying this, but she looked like a monster. We didn't have intimacy for the entire pregnancy. Sometimes she would try to initiate, but I always turned her down because I was repulsed by her. She had a difficult birth, and our son was born with some health issues. Relatively minor, thankfully, but enough to give us a scare. My wife blamed herself for our son's health issues, and in the heat of the moment, I told her that if she had been more active during pregnancy, then our son probably would have been fine. She just kept sinking further and further into depression. She stopped brushing her hair, and it started to mat. I would come home from work at 5 p.m. to find our older son still in his pajamas. The dirty dishes were piled a mile high in the sink. She stopped showering regularly, and she refused to go on a jog to lose the baby weight, even though I tried to encourage her by saying I'd cook dinner if she did. Our son's physical needs were being met, but emotionally she was checked out. I started fantasizing about being single and not having a wife or kids. I started going to the gym and the bar after work, instead of going home to them. I met Cassidy, 19 female, at the gym, and we really hit it off. She was vocal about never wanting kids, and when I would complain about my wife to her, she would pile on too. I was happy at the time because I wanted someone to validate me for being such an a-hole. But looking back, I'm disgusted. Pretty soon, Cassidy and I were dating, and I was having a whole separate life behind my wife's back. After a few months, my wife slowly started to return to her old self. She started taking more pride in her appearance and started cooking from scratch again instead of ordering takeout or frozen food. Our home was clean again, and our younger son's health issues were improving. I fell in love with her all over again. Then I started to realize that Cassidy wasn't as exciting and interesting as I thought she was. She was actually quite dull and stupid, and had no real opinions or interests outside of partying and TikTok. I started to suspect that she didn't actually like me either, and was just flattered by the attention of a married man, and I stupidly enabled it by making her feel special and better than my wife. I ended things with her a few months later, and she didn't even seem to care. All in all, I was cheating on my wife for just over a year. My wife has recently started asking to try for a third baby, and the guilt all just hit me at once. I feel paralyzed. I have nightmares that she finds out from someone else. I've stopped eating and sleeping. I'm starting to get aches and pains from the stress. I don't know what to do. I know I'm an a-hole. I know I don't deserve her. But I don't know how to tell her without breaking her. She's amazing, and she never deserved this. Now for the top comments before reading the update. Do you understand that you were the primary cause of her PPD? When she told you she felt that it was her fault your son had health issues, that was your cue to console her and tell her that there was no way for her to have prevented it. I can't even imagine the guilt spiral that comment must have sent her on, you selfish, inconsiderate piece of trash. Don't you dare knock her up again without telling her what you've done. She can't count on you, and you know it. This is the perfect summary. He's an a-hole for other reasons, but this is basically evil, and not something someone would do to someone they actually love. You're a horrible man. You can see that she's drowning, but it'll only help if she jogs so you won't be repulsed by her. Then double down on that crappiness by staying away even more, so she doesn't even have the minuscule help you were giving. Then decided to hook up with a teenager 7 years younger than you instead of helping your wife? And then when you were no longer repulsed by your wife, you turned your woman-hating energy on a teenager you sought out. Let your wife go, and don't fight on giving her a fair settlement. She deserves more than half of your stuff, as well as you helping her get training for a job, and let her find a man that's not horrible and doesn't conditionally love her. And for Pete's sake, don't have another kid. You'll just do the same crap to her again. I know, right? His wife is amazing. She pulled herself out of a deep well of rock bottom all by herself, with absolutely no help from him. She deserves to be cut free from him. You didn't end your affair because it was wrong. You ended it because your wife found the strength to crawl out of the pit you left her floundering in alone. When she needed you most, you bailed. She's a strong woman, but you are a weak man. The guilt is what you get to live with for the rest of your life. My sister was self-ending when she had postnatal depression. Thank God her husband is amazing, and got her straight to the GP to get a mental health plan, called my mom to come and help, and took a month off work. Between them, they never left her alone, got her to a psychologist, got her on meds, did all of the housework and childcare so that she could focus on getting better, and supported her in every way they could. This woman could have died. This man is lower than pond scum. Update. I really didn't expect the last post to blow up so much, and even reach TikTok. I'm just going to post an update and then I'll probably delete this account. As per somebody's advice, I took the day off work, dropped our 2 sons off at their grandparents' house, and sat my wife down. I came fully clean. I made no excuses, told her I didn't expect forgiveness and that she had every right to say or do whatever she wanted. She didn't respond for a while, but then very softly and quietly told me that she wanted me out of the house the next day and that we were done. She didn't scream or cry or show any emotion. I asked her if she wanted to say anything else, and she said no. I told her I was sorry, and she said she didn't want to hear it. We sat in silence for what felt like forever while she stared blankly into space. When our sons came home, seeing how expertly she was able to put on a brave face and not let them know anything was wrong broke my heart. It hit me like a ton of bricks that she was used to doing this, and it was all my fault. I slept in a guest room that night but didn't get much sleep. The next morning, our older son asked me why mommy was crying again last night and said he wanted to cheer her up. My wife refuses to speak to me, look at me, or acknowledge me in any way. Then I heard her on the phone to her best friend, who lives in another country. She told her that she thought she had found a good one and that she was going to break the mold. Her grandfather walked out and left her grandma with nothing. Her dad walked out and left her mom with nothing. And I'm a piece of trash, just like every other man in her life. I left today, and she didn't even look at me or say anything. She just continued watching TV and crocheting as if nothing was happening. I'm staying at my parents' house, and they're disgusted with me. My mom even cried when I told her they love my wife like their own daughter. I let everybody down. I deserve everything coming my way. Get some therapy. Try to act like a decent person during the divorce, and focus on being the best co-parent you can be. You hurt her, seriously and unforgivably. What little control she gets to have now is how she chooses to deal with this. Nah, he would just make the session make it all about poor him, just like he's doing on this post. I don't understand the amount of POS men who cheat on their sick and or pregnant wives. Damn this narcissist. I agree that he is beating himself up in hopes that someone says, poor fella. That was his reason for cheating. My wife is so miserable and difficult. No thanks to birthing his children. Then I wanted this big reaction from her, but she gave him nothing. Good for her. It is awful that he reinforced all her negative feelings about men. You know she will raise her 2 sons to be better. You aren't sorry. You are reveling in being the worst person in the world. Your entire focus continues to be on yourself. Your entire post is about how her response made you feel. Nowhere do you state that you intend to make amends, a critical component of true contrition. The only remorse you seem to have is on how bad this is making you feel. You made the utterly selfish choice of telling your wife to alleviate your guilt, not for her sake. Why weren't you willing to live with the guilt? Because, just like your decision to cheat, You were only thinking about yourself, what you wanted, and what felt good for you. Although your marriage is obviously over, or should be, if you wanted to begin to be a decent person, you'd be focused on how you make amends, how to make the situation easier on your ex-wife, and most importantly, how to ease the transition into a broken home for your children. How good of you to run away to your parents and leave all the hard work for your wife. Exactly. All OP's doing is whining and feeling sorry for himself. I'm so perplexed by why I told her. Like, what was he hoping to get out of this? He wanted to feel unburdened. He could have done that by committing to be a better husband and father, but that's a lot of work. Easier to just be like, sorry, I'm a piece of trash, and walk away, letting her raise the kids on her own. I hope she gets a good lawyer. Last story. My 27 female boyfriend, 28 male, gave me a prerequisite when I proposed to him. Original post. I've been together with my boyfriend for the past 5 years and he is a sweetheart. We moved in together after 2 years and things have been great. I love him a lot and I know he loves me too. I work in a law firm and my boyfriend is a physicist and works in one of the best institutions in the country for his field. He recently got tenure and I'm doing good in my field too. We live in an apartment we bought together. Recently, I've been thinking about marriage and didn't just know when the right time was, so day before yesterday, I just popped a question. He was just so happy and obviously agreed. Mind you, this was done in our home in a private setting. When the initial excitement started to wear off, I could see he was visibly distressed, and right before the bed he asked me, "Will you want to have kids with me when we get married?" I said yes, to which he replied, "Then I can marry you only if you agree to give me absolute control over our child's academics. We can share all the rest of the stuff, and I'll even agree in advance if you would like reserve something solely you two have, but I can't compromise on this." I was absolutely gutted, as I didn't know what to say. It was so out of character for him. I said that I think that both of us should be involved in every aspect of our child's life. He just said no. I tried asking if something happened, but he just left for the couch. I took the day off as I'm not in the right state of mind right now. Then this morning he entered the room. I was awake, but pretended to be asleep. He just kissed my forehead, and when he left I could hear him sobbing. I know something has happened, and most probably it isn't even related to us. I tried contacting him, but he hasn't returned any of my messages. I asked him if he would like to have lunch about an hour ago, and he just replied no again. I don't know how to proceed, or what to make of my relationship anymore. Edit. A lot of comments are asking me for more info, but I'm just oblivious as you all are. He is coming home in about half an hour. I'll talk to him and update again. Now for the top advice before reading the mini update. This is a completely weird request, especially coming out of the blue. Do not agree to it. Even weirder is how he's been acting afterwards. Wait until you're both home and talk about what's going on in person. This is not a conversation to have on a lunch break. I know. That's what's been so shocking for me too. Lunch was just a way for me trying to get him to talk to me. I tried asking if something happened, but he just left for the couch. I took the day off as I'm not in the right state of mind right now. This morning he entered the room. I was awake but pretended to be asleep. He just kissed my forehead and when he left, I could hear him sobbing. This sounds like a trauma response to me. Did something bad happen to him at school as a child? It's a common trauma response for a trauma survivor to try to tightly control their children to protect them from harm. But this also causes harm because children are controlled and restricted from being their true selves and miss out on common non-painful childhood experiences. He can't heal his trauma by jailing your children. That just repeats the trauma to the next generation. It's called generational trauma for a reason. All of this is speculation, of course, but as a trauma survivor myself, this is raising alarm bells for me. If it is trauma, I highly recommend he go through a trauma-focused therapy, such as EMDR, before planning for kids. Having children brings out the trauma and stress in ways you never think they would, and old scripts have a tendency to repeat themselves. Now for the update. So firstly, I want to thank all those who replied. I haven't been able to reply to a lot of messages, but the replies did give me a direction to think towards. I just want to clear up a few things. 1. We don't have different political views. Rather, he just chose to ignore the political aspects of things. And as a result, I have 2 in front of him. 2. It was not the first time we have talked of kids. Till now, our plan has been to use birth control, and we had been using rubbers until about a year ago because we have been dating since the time we were still trying to build our careers and would have gone for an abortion in case of a pregnancy. So that is what led to him asking about the child scene. Now to what happened. When he came home, I just let him do his stuff. At about 11, when he was free, I approached him. He was hesitant to talk and didn't speak anything for a solid 30 minutes and just kept hugging me. After that, I asked him if he was okay and if we could talk about what happened. He just nodded, so I asked him if he wanted to not get married. He said no and just squeezed me real tight, and then asked if he felt I was not smart enough to educate our child or something. Again, a no. Then I asked him what he meant by absolute control and why he had such a strong reaction. So he told me that he meant that the child has to go to a scientific field, and that even though he/she will attend a public school, he would like to teach science and maths at a different pace as that of school. I then asked him the obvious: what if they don't want to go into science? He then was speechless. Now, this made me think that it was just an impulsive response back then, some trauma or something that happened recently. So then I asked what made him act that way, but he just said he was in a bad mood, and begged me to end this topic. I know this isn't the best update, but from what I can tell as of now, he told me the truth but not all of it. I'm gonna dig more, and probably call his parents and his close friend. Now, I don't think it just means him escaping the relation, or showing his true colors, as I feel he had a total of 5 years to do that. So why now? I also asked if he expected me to not propose or something, but that also was a dead end. I told him that marriage is off the table as long as we don't clear this up. But I told him that he has to come for therapy and I'll accompany him. We slept in the same bed last night, so that's something, I guess. I know about him being bullied in high school, but as much as I have known, it wouldn't have produced such a strong reaction. So yeah, I'll try to give a final update later on, but I don't know how long it will take or how bad it might get.